We briefly touched on the federal law known as HMDA in the ACOA module, but I'd like to take some time to review it in a little more detail. HMDA stands for the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act and was previously Section 10 on the 1003 loan application, but has since been updated and is now located on Section 8 of the 1003 loan application. Be sure that you know that. HMDA's purpose is to disclose where possible discrimination may be taking place by requiring the disclosure of the sex, race, and ethnicity of a borrower when conducting an application face-to-face. That's how we can remember that HMDA is Regulation C, because its purpose is to be able to see where possible discrimination may be taking place. Now, if the application is not taken face-to-face, then the last name of a borrower must be used in an attempt to identify their race and ethnicity and disclose it at the bottom of the 1003 loan application. Now, keep in mind that these records that are collected of these applicants must be kept and provided to the federal government through a database known as a Loan Application Register, otherwise known as a LAR. The Loan Application Register must be maintained and made available upon request for 3 years and are due every year in March. Remember, a disclosure of the lender's lending activities must be made public. The FFIEC stands for the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council. What you need to know about this council for the test is that it's composed of 5 banking regulators to create uniform standards, uniform guidelines, and audit practices to ensure compliance across the board among federally regulated financial institutions. Now, it is critical that you know who the 5 regulators are that the FFIEC uses to create these uniform standards. These institutions are the Federal Reserve Board, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, known as the FDIC, the National Credit Union Administration, known as NCUA, the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, known as OCC, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, known as CFPB. Be sure that you know these acronyms and what they stand for. On the test, they will use the longhand version of these acronyms, so be sure you understand and memorize the proper names of what the acronyms stand for. They may try to trick you by changing one part of the name to throw you off. So, for example, they may say the Nationwide Credit Union Administration instead of the National Credit Union Administration. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, also known as the Financial Services Modernization Act of 1999, or Regulation P, requires financial institutions to disclose their information sharing practices to consumers through a privacy policy notice at first contact. Then, once a year thereafter, so long as the consumer remains a customer. It's because of this act that consumers can limit or opt out of some sharing of their information with third parties. It's important that you know that the difference between a customer and a consumer, according to the GLB Act, is very significant. So a consumer is defined by the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act as a person who has purchased a financial product or financial service for personal, family, or household reasons. However, a customer, as defined by the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, is a consumer, but also has maintained an ongoing relationship with a financial institution. So it's important that you understand the difference between a consumer and a customer. You need to remember that the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act applies to financial institutions that give loans or financial advice, which includes mortgage brokers, lenders, tax preparers, and debt collectors. So for example, when I purchased my home, I received a financial product, which was the loan for my home through SunTrust Bank. I was a customer of SunTrust Bank according to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Because of an ongoing relationship would be maintained with them as the lender of my home loan, they would send me statements. I would pay them monthly. This is evidence of an ongoing relationship. It's not about the length of time, it's about the nature of the relationship. However, if I did a one-time wire transfer or cashed a check with a check cashing company, then I would be a consumer of that service because no ongoing relationship is taking place. Now, in the same way that a consumer and a customer have a specific definition as defined by the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, there are also specific protocols that must be adhered to as to how long a consumer or customer can be contacted by a company. A customer, which has an established, ongoing business relationship, may be called by the business for 18 months from the customer's last purchase, receipt of shipment, or last payment, unless the customer has asked not to be contacted. A consumer, which is a person who makes an inquiry about a good or service or submits an application, for example, the company may only call them for 3 months from the time of their last inquiry or submission of an application. Remember, these rules are specific to financial institutions as it relates to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. It's important that you know and understand what non-public personal information, or NPI, is in relation to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Now, this is sometimes a difficult concept to understand, so let's just think of non-public personal information as private personal information, meaning we are talking about the information that is not public knowledge. So, does Joe Schmo off the street know your social security number? Nope. And if he does, then you're in trouble, buddy, because that is an example of non-public personal information. So let's break this down even further. Non-public personal information can more easily be defined as information a consumer may give to a business to receive a financial good or service. So examples of this could be account numbers, credit card numbers, payment history, social security number, loan or deposit balances, credit or debit purchases. Non-public information does not include any information that could lawfully be made readily available to the public, or that a person can make some information non-public but has chosen not to do so, such as a phone number, for example.